What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. I know this is something that I feel like has been debated for a long time, and it's going to be, should you quit your job to sell options, or better yet, should you quit your job to trade in general, right? And I know this is something that a lot of people love to talk about. They love to say, oh, I quit my job, now all I do is trade. Oh, I get to work for 20 minutes a day, and then I make more money than your salary. And I'm here to kind of discuss that and almost get into it, and kind of break down some of the nonsense that especially these young kids push out on social media. So, I guess we'll start with, should you quit your job to sell options? And my answer is going to be, first of all, it depends, right? Like, it depends how much money you have. It depends how long you've been doing it. It depends how, your income, how scalable it is, how consistent it is, right? But ultimately, I'm going to go with no. And the reason being is, like, obviously, if you're trading with the amount I have in this account, 21,000, it's just probably not going to be enough to cover your bills. But, even if you are making enough from collecting premium to cover bills, there's always going to be moments like where I'm at right now. Like, for instance, obviously you guys saw, if you've been following from the beginning, it was kind of smooth sailing right from the start. We just kind of rode all the way up to, 25.2, and it took like 40 days to get there. So yeah, starting with 20K, being up 5,200 in 40 days, it's like, all right, you're kind of at that point where you feel like you can quit your job, right? But the reality is, especially with selling options, you don't really, there's not really ways to make so much money when the market is falling fast, or better yet, the stock you're in is falling fast. Like, if you're in covered calls, okay, you collect premium when it falls, but you're still losing on the capital value. And if you're in selling puts, then, if it's falling super fast, you're going to be in a position like I am, where the put is gaining value, so you can't really exit, and ultimately you have to roll. So, if this was my only source of income, this was all the money I had, obviously I'd be in a very, very rough situation. Now, luckily it isn't. And in terms of if you should, right, it's like, here's the thing. Yes, if you get to multiple six figures, you can definitely collect premium that might overtake your job, but that's you need some sort of gasoline to get there, right? And a job or another source of income, a business, it's going to give you that, you need that consistent income coming in to keep fueling the options account, right? Now, trading in general, I can tell you straight up from firsthand experience that trying to quit everything and trade is just never going to work. You're going to force trades. You're not going to see the market correctly. You're going to force yourself to take a trade maybe at the end of the day because you need money to pay rent. Maybe you're just not going to be thinking straight. Like, the only way you're going to ever really trade successfully is when you're detached from the outcome and can just do it based on if the trade follows your system, if everything follows your plan. Now, with option selling, since you're not shorting the market, right, it's not necessarily about if the market's going up or down. You're really just looking for ways to capitalize on up movement, or even if it's not going up, whether it's a slow downturn or just, no volatility. So it's like consolidating, when it comes to selling options, it's the same concept in the sense of, like, if you are doing this full time as your only way of paying bills, you're probably going to cut a position too soon where you could have rolled. You're probably not going to have trust to take a position that might pay better but might be a little riskier. You're just not going to be thinking clearly, and that's the issue. So even if you had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even a couple million, where you can definitely make more than enough, you should still be using that money for other things. Maybe it's a Section 8 real estate property. Maybe it's some sort of business model. Obviously, a lot of traders have paid chat rooms and courses, and I know that's a very controversial topic in the space, but it makes sense why any trader would do that, right? Because it's like, one, if you're giving people value and they're learning from you, then you should get paid, right? Because people don't appreciate things that come for free. And two, as traders, I think any trader would know that having an extra source of income, having other things to do with your time too, right? Like, you get very bored. Today's a Saturday, and I've noticed, like, videos I drop on Saturdays tend to do better. And I think it's because people who trade, they need something to do, right? So it's a good time to learn because, you can only back test so much. And ultimately, yeah, it's like the market's closed. So you want something to do. It's a good time to, sharpen your sword, maybe watch a video, read a book. So having a chat room, it allows you to connect with people. It gives you something to do. And most importantly, it gives you that extra fuel for your trading account, right? That source of income. And it's a win-win in a lot of cases. Listen, a lot of chat rooms are scams, right? We all know this. You pay, you don't get anything out of it. But the ones that are successful, maybe you're paying $100 a month and you're actually making more, a lot more. So, in the realm of life, the answer in terms of should you quit your job to trade or sell options is, it's not a yes or a no answer, right? Like if you're in a position where you've been doing it for years and you've consistently made 100K plus a year selling options or trading options, then yeah, maybe you're in that position, right? But even if you have tons of money saved, you probably shouldn't consider quitting, because I'm telling you, the money coming in is what's going to ultimately give you that confidence, right? Like, if you had, let's just say 50K saved and you lost $1,000 trading, you might be able to shrug it off, say, oh, I still have 49. But I'm telling you right now, okay, now you have another 1,000 for rent. Now you're at 48. And then you have another 600 for car and insurance. The money goes quick, right? But if you make 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, and you lose 1,000 a month trading, it doesn't hurt as bad, because you're still positive 9K. After all your expenses, you should still have money left over. That's obviously just an example, right? Listen, I know people that make tons of money and lose tons of money, and it's all irrational, right? It's all proportionate to what you actually have. You should not be blowing more just because you have more. If anything, having more should be your safety net. You should be building that, and you should still be trading with less, gaining confidence and letting the account grow naturally, maybe adding more to it, at a very small amount. I started this account with 20 grand. And of course, being with where we've been in and being stuck in this position, and obviously the crypto market being, in an interesting spot right now, in my opinion, it's like if we hold this demand, then I think we're going to be good to go. If we don't hold it, right, and I'll draw it out for you guys, what I think is possible, right? And this is obviously just my opinion, but I think we're sitting on some sort of demand like this. And ultimately, the two options are we break through, retest, and come down, or we hold, retest, continue up. Now, listen, it's all about following the trend. So percentage-wise, the bulls still have the power, regardless of what anyone wants to say. In the end of the day, we're going up, we're holding a demand. Statistically, probability-wise, the long is still the better play than the short. But there's obviously a lot of things that could happen in life, right? There's a lot of factors, there's news, there's things that can always cause the market to flip on a dime. And you have to always be prepared for that. And that's why I like selling options, is because you have the opportunity to roll, which if you've been following for a while, you know that this is a position I've rolled. I started off at 55, now I'm at 50. And why that's so great is because if it does keep going, I can keep lowering my entry, kind of like dollar cost averaging. Now, if I wanted to quit my job or shut everything else I had down and ultimately trade full time, it would be very stressful to know that I'm in a position where I'm rolling for months. And ultimately, if I needed that money to pay bills, then it would be extremely stressful, right? So in the end of the day, I don't think people should rush to quit. I think you should be using, your source of income as a fuel for your fire. If you hate your job and you're miserable, then I still don't think trading is necessarily the vehicle in which you should use to quit your job. I think, you can continue to trade, right, and continue to fund your account. And yes, if you do get to that point where your account is in the high 5 figures or 6 figures and you're bringing in large sums, then yeah, quit. And listen, I don't think anyone should be attached to their job, right? I mentioned detachment, right? As a trader, you need to be detached to your positions to succeed. And I think it's the same thing with a job, right? If you're attached to your job where you feel like you need it to pay bills, but you're miserable and you're not paid enough, the stats show that people who leave companies every couple years end up making more than the guy who stays at a job for 30 years. I think there's a lot of power in that, because people who get attached to things just always underperform, whether it's a relationship, a business, a job, trading. You will always underperform being attached. The law of detachment is one of the most important spiritual laws of life. I've read that in the 7 spiritual laws of success, and I've stuck with it forever. And I've experienced it in my own life. Like I said, there's been times where I was running 0 other businesses and only trading, and it just didn't work. And I realized I had to reverse engineer it. I had to get my life back in track, start other sources of income, find other ways to make money, and then come back to trading. And ultimately, selling options, maybe it's trading, maybe it's not. Obviously, I've told you guys on this channel, I have other portfolios where I'm just holding, buying and holding. This isn't the same trading as, buying options, right, where you're trying to short the market or long the market. Me personally, I just don't believe in shorting the market. Listen, not to say people don't make money shorting, but from my personal experience, I have lost so much money trying to short the NASDAQ or trying to short stocks. Listen, is there a time and place for it? Yes. I honestly think, it sounds corny, but I feel like if you're shorting, it's so you could be in it for a short period of time, and longing is what you want to be doing majority of the time. And the stats show it, right? When you go and you pull up a chart like the NASDAQ, the proof is in the pudding, right? It doesn't take rocket science to see that if you go on the highest time frame, you know, the people who are uber long, right, who have been long, this is a bad NASDAQ chart since it only tracks 2018, but the people who have been long have always done great. You know, you talk to your relatives, you know, you go find a grandma or a great aunt and she tells you she's been buying the S&P since 1970, you can almost guarantee she's sitting on a chunk of change, right? So the market, you know, in the long term, over time, will favor the bulls, especially if you're in the right assets. And you need to think about ways where time is in your favor, right? If you're trying to trade high leverage instruments, zero date options, you know, shorting it, longing it, back and forth, time will not be in your favor. Yeah, you'll win a trade here and there. Yeah, you'll have a profitable week here and there. But let's be real, most people aren't profitable. And that's what brings the controversy, right? It's like, oh, if these traders on social media are so profitable, why do they have chat rooms? Now, again, just because someone has a chat room does not mean they're not profitable. I do believe that regardless of how much you're making from trading, you should have other sources of income on top of the fact of, as I mentioned, it just gets boring when all you do is trade, right? You have nothing to do for a majority of the day. It's not easy to occupy yourself mentally. You know, working 8 hours a day, yes, I think that's a fallacy as well. But also working 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, I also don't think most people are built for that, right? I think most people are built for, you know, a few hours a day, right? Like wake up, you know, have a nice relaxing morning routine type of thing, get some work done, hit the gym, have a healthy meal, you know, have some leisure time, learn, and, you know, move on to the next day. So ultimately, I think the answer is to find that balance. You know, do I think people can make full-time living trading? Absolutely, right? People definitely do it. Do I think the average person is cut out for it? No. Do I think that even if you have enough money to trade full-time, you should be diversifying into other assets, whether it's real estate, whether it's starting your own paid chat room, starting your own business? Absolutely. So I hope this video cleared a lot for you, and I hope if you're on the fence about quitting, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to stick with the job you hate. I'm just going to sit here and tell you that it's important to have other income sources while you're trying to become a successful trader for so many reasons, right? Detachment being the most important, but the second is just having more money coming in to fuel the fires, right? And it'll let you grow faster, retire earlier, have your control earlier. You know, when you're living check to check, you have no control over your life. But when you have 6 months of rent in the bank and you know you can quit and you know you'll find something else within a couple of months, like that's how you have control, right? If you have 6 years of rent in the bank, it's even stronger, right? And when you have that control, don't use it as a reason to be lazy, right? Use it as fuel to say, all right, I'm in the driver's seat, right? I don't need to work a job I hate, but I shouldn't be lazy. I should still make sure to stay on top of it, stay ahead, right? I think that's very important in life, is just staying ahead, get ahead and stay ahead, because when you fall behind, it's very, very hard, almost impossible to get back ahead or get back in place. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to make it like a little treat, a little quick one, a little weekend vibe. Make sure to like the content, right? Make sure to comment your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can just keep it rolling, keep more people hopping on the train, getting the sauce, getting the value. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the next video.